the whole idea of protests, it's brilliant being able to stand up as a free-thinking individual and go, look, I don't agree with this, and I'm going to stand by this because I think you're talking shit.
The more I looked into it, the more I just thought, that this wouldn't be appropriate for my community here in Baildon.
I'd heard about weapons coming to a base just up the road. It was a profound moment. It pretty much changed my life, actually.
So the last few years I've noticed with protests, police have been becoming increasingly more heavy-handed with the tactics and stuff. So I figured with a camera there, filming them whilst they're doing their duty and stuff, making sure that if all criminal happens on their part, it can be documented and people can, put in a protest and successful prosecution, hopefully. Yeah, my first major protests were the protests in November, on the day that they announced the austerity measures. I took the camera down with it, and I got there and I stood on wall, and the entire middle of London was just a sea of people, and it was just like a really, really overwhelming experience. Like, wow, there's all the, 10, 15,000 people from all different walks of life. I ended up at Millbank and blatantly saw this poor fucker who'd been knocked over, he's lying on this broken glass. This paramedic steams in, bang, bang, fucking starts kicking him. I'm a bit disheartened about protesting in general, but we've, like we had up at Topshop a bit ago, some guy asked me what was going on and I explained about Topshop avoiding the taxes and stuff, and he was going to go into Topshop and actually do a bit of shopping, but as soon as I told him what was going on, he went, oh sorry, thanks very much, I'm off, and he wandered off down, go to shop somewhere else.
Someone got to ask when they think it's funny that animals take 15 minutes to die after they've been skinned alive. What mentality is that?
I think when it comes to demonstrations and protests, I think that's all it's become nowadays. It's not that we know we can make a difference on a greater scale. It's just that it's the one area where we feel as though we have a little bit of freedom that we've made ourselves.
Melmoth Hill is a very significant American base, involved in all sorts of areas around the world. It's actually RAF, they say. Not at all. Absolute nonsense. The Americans put this yellow line that was painted across the road, the main entrance, and it's to distinguish that this is our land and that's you're not allowed to go over there. I've got a friend in prison. She's been there nearly a year for just stepping over this line. The police at Melmoth Hill, some of them are foul. I think if you start to ask questions of people in authority, they come down heavy, actually. They do. I've been on bail, I say this with no pride or pleasure again, since about 1982, on and off, probably with a year's break or something like that. I'm on bail at the moment.
Obstructing the train.
Please don't do that, Mr. Hallett. You know nothing about the law, so please don't use brute force. Mr. Wyatt, I used to have great respect because there was a case where he gave evidence. I was assaulted in there by one that used to be a custody office in there, and I was assaulted by the custody officer, and he witnessed it. Taking actions against the police is really, really hard. Usually the courts support the police. And I have to say over the years I'm shocked, still shocked, the way police lie in court. But he told the truth. He told the truth, and this sergeant was convicted of assault. My car was sabotaged an awful lot in the past, very seriously actually. But you deal with that, you confront that. They tried to get an ASBO at one stage. Absolute nonsense. Arrested something like 40 times every single Tuesday evening. Just arrived, just step out of the car. Right then, Dispatcher, you're under arrest. And it was actually, they were stacking up these arrests to go for an ASBO. And it was absolute nonsense, it really was.
We turn up en masse and we specifically target, I don't mean targeting kind of like a subversive, no fucking hell, like counter-terrorist kind of thing, even though it is in a sense. We target the specific aspects of city life that are responsible either directly or by proxy, for the shit state of affairs that we're in. You know, the big corporations who prance around like, you know, oh yeah, we're successful and this and other, but yet at the same time, don't pay the taxes. Protest in general, to speak out again, you know, to vent your feelings of frustration against something that you might not agree with. The whole idea of protests, it's brilliant being able to stand up as a free-thinking individual and go, look, I don't agree with this, and I'm going to stand by this because I think you're talking shit.
Okay everyone, hi, thanks for coming. I think I've met everybody already here, but I'm Ian Lyons. I'm here with Brady. We've organised today's protest march. So at the end today is a peaceful demonstration. I can't see anybody here getting out of hand. At the Book Lane issue, I started campaigning back in September, and I heard about a piece of land down there that was due for development. And the more I looked into it, the more I just thought, you know, that this wouldn't be appropriate for my community here in Baildon. I'm going to ask Steve Walker, who's the chairman of Brade, to have a little word at the end after I've given a safety brief. The route we're going to go from Book Lane obviously to Shipley Town Hall. Because it's a small crowd, we have to go by the highway code, and we're going to use the footpath. I found out about the contamination down there at Book Lane. The soil is contaminated, but it's also growing. And the chemicals that are involved, they have been known to cause birth defects. And a horse recently died down there, which died in foal birth. I've been asking people to send us emails to declare their support, and we got lots of emails back, and then a few people have dropped out. We're advertising it on Facebook, we're using social media, and it's been in the paper, and word of mouth gets around, and this afternoon we're going out and raising awareness on the doorsteps, and we're putting some leaflets out, so it's tough to know, but I do hope that, you know, a lot of people turn up.
Yes, it's actually old footage. I think it's from 1995. And it was pretty typical. I mean, this was a bit extreme, but it was a typical incident in that the American authorities really did what they like, and they still do. They are on a public road. It's a public road that goes between the airfield and the housing area. This was at a base called United States Air Force Base at Mildenhall, which is sort of Suffolk, Cambridge way. We warned him that, I mean, we talked about it, what are we going to do? And we thought, right, citizen's arrest. Because that's the only thing we had, in a way, to stop it. So I arrested him, warned him that, you know, if you don't stop following, I'm going to do a citizen's arrest on you. Which, as you see, it's very, very peaceful. There's no problems. It's explaining to him. And that sort of shh blank is actually where I was just suddenly, I mean, they'd all set it up. American police inside. They call themselves police. They're not police in our terms. And they set it up, came out of the base, and just down on the ground, knee in the back, and handcuffed, which they are totally not allowed to do, certainly on a public road. Here we are, you see. So I pulled up, and if you notice, my shirt is all bra showing, and he says, that's sexual assault, you see. So they start to do, these total strangers start to do up the shirt. And that was very difficult indeed. So here he is, fiddling around. So I'm dragged up. It's so sore because they're very tight, the handcuffs, and they're metal. So I'm picked up, because I just would not cooperate. No violence. So into the base, where there is a white American police car waiting there. All set up, there we are. And it's so sore with these metal handcuffs. And at one stage he twists them. And I'm saying, you're not, you know, it's actually, in terms of legal things, it's kidnap. You know, serious assault, kidnap. And I'm trying to get out, getting into the front of the car, and he's put the seatbelt on. I managed to undo it.
Thing about this place, she's being assaulted, she's being sexually assaulted, and this is meant to be England. This cannot be allowed to go on.
Where are you taking me? Oh, you can't be, you can't be.
So then he puts his hand right across my throat. You know how sore it is when you... And I didn't know what was going to happen, actually. I didn't know what was going to happen. You know, why aren't we moving? What's going to happen to me? I mean, each time I see it, I think, oh, God, that was just awful.
Fucking hell, I think I've been protesting all my life. Started day one. What the fuck's going on here? Why am I being treated like shit? And one of the things that gets me angry, this whole idea that you as an individual, you've got to be number one. You've got to get the flash car, you've got to get the flash job, you've got to look cool and be successful. Fuck everybody else. If anybody gets in your way, fuck them off. That's the mentality that thousands and thousands of children are being taught day in, day out. And, you know, this whole belief that what we're consuming is going to go on forever. And it's like, no, there's got to be a cap, there's got to be a limit at some point. And when you start mentioning shit like that, people, oh, you're a communist, you're a socialist, I'm like, no, I believe in a little bit of both. It takes all sorts. Left to our own devices, we as a people manage to figure things out. I mean, you see at protests and demonstrations as a really good example, you know, where people from all different walks of life coming together and going, right, this is what we're here for.
So whereas I'm no longer fighting for the country, I feel like in some ways that I'm, you know, fighting for Baildon and things that happen here. And yeah, when my community is under threat, and I believe it is a genuine threat, then yeah, I feel quite strongly that I've got to do something about that. What we don't want to be doing is looking back in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, with evidence of you know, in this local area, people having birth defects, and then wondering why we didn't do something about it. You know, if I'm stood there on Saturday, you know, with a placard trying to do something about it and raise awareness of the issue, at least if that does happen, I will have a clear conscience and I'll know that I did everything I could to stop it.
We've lived in Baildon 35 years and we used to take our boys on walks down there, and we just feel it should be kept as a greenfield site, and really I think that the development is totally inappropriate.
A bit disappointed. The number that gave us an indication that they were going to turn up haven't quite materialised, but it's a labour of love, and we're thankful for the numbers that have come.
I'd finally like to thank you for this support today, and perhaps you could give yourselves a round of applause for arriving here in one piece, safely, and with the support you've provided. Thank you.
Save our greenfield sites!
With protest, whatever you do, you know, you either see that there's an injustice and you want to do something about it, or you say, I can't do anything about it, or just turn a blind eye to it. And it was something that I was compelled to do, actually, to try and stop the building of these, you know, silos and things. Shall I tell you how I started? I was a midwife at the time and worked in Southampton, that's where we lived. And I'd heard about weapons coming to a base just up the road, known as RAF Greenham Common. And I got involved with the campaign. People say in the movement that actually it's Greenham Common that sent cruise missiles back. It came in 1990, and I had heard about Menderfield through this wonderful work of a local group, actually, through the 80s. Yeah, it's a bumpy road, it is. But, you know, the prize is superb. Yeah. And one day, I wouldn't even bother with this if I didn't think one day, you know, things will change.
When will I stop protesting? I think when I'm dead. You know, and even then, if there is a God, I'll be knocking on, saying, before I get cast into hell, I'll be going, oh, hold on, I think I've got a right just to talk to this guy. I'll be knocking on fucking gates to same people and going, oi mate, I think you and I need to have a little bit of a chat about what's been going on down here.